Hey y'all, welcome to Facing the 50s. My name's Deanne. Today we're going to talk about all things contour. So I get questions. What is contour? How do I use it? Where do I use it? What brushes are the best? Can I just use my bronzer instead of contour? So I wanted to try to address as many of those questions as I could in today's video. So let's get right into it. Now to start out with, our 3D foundation is three-dimensional, 3D. And it's based on the concept of highlighting and contouring. So you'll hear us refer to it as a HAC, H-A-C, highlight and contour. So the highlight part is where we pick a light color to use on our face to enhance or accentuate areas that we want enhanced. And then we'll use a darker color to contour, to really sculpt or minimize some different areas. And so we'll use those in different areas on the face. So that's a question I get, where do I contour? And it kind of depends. So there's a general rule, if you'll think of a 3 or an E, okay? So a general rule there of, the forehead, the cheekbone, and the jawline. And that's pretty universal, but there may be some slight tweaks based on your bone structure. And that's what your artist can help you with. So if you're having trouble with it, contact your artist. That's what they're there for. Have them help you understand, where you should contour. If you need an artist, I'll have my email and my color match form linked down below, and I would love to help you out. So anyway, where do you contour? So like I said, you kind of stick with that 3 and that E as a generality. However, like for me, my face is pretty straight up and down here, so I don't necessarily need it right here along my temples, but I am going to want it right here at the top of my forehead because my forehead's pretty round and kind of wide, and so I want to kind of minimize that, and I want to kind of make a little more of an angle to draw the eye up to slim the face a little bit. So that's one place I would do it. The other place I would do it for my face is right here under the jawline, under the cheekbones. Now, I can see in the camera, it looks like there's a shadow there. So I've got pretty prominent cheekbones, so it does create a contour for me almost automatically. The other thing that I've got going for me, I guess it's a blessing in disguise, is that from years and years of sun exposure, and I wish I could go back and change that, but I can't. But from years of sun exposure, I've actually got some melasma or a dark patch right there. Now, lucky for me, or unlucky that I have it, but lucky for me, it just comes right in the spot that I would need to contour to create a cheekbone. So that's why it looks like I may have some contour on there already when I don't. There's nothing, I've got my highlight here and here, but this is just the color of that discoloration. And you can see I have a little bit over here, but it's not quite as deep. But I'll still contour there to show you what to do, because there's a few tips that I want to give you for that specific area, because it tends to be the hardest area, to kind of nail. But once you get it, you're golden, all right? So I would contour my forehead, I would contour a little here under my cheekbone, and then I would contour right here along my jawline, and then I'm going to pull it down just a little bit. So those are the areas for me. Now, in addition, some people, they like to get a little fancy, and they'll use a really small brush, and they like to contour their nose to maybe slim their nose. You can certainly do that. Probably not the first thing I would do if you're learning how to contour, because it can be a little tricky, but it's certainly something to play around with. So that's kind of the where that we contour. What do you use? So you've got all sorts of options. First, you can use your fingers. If you can stick your finger in the cream and put it on there and then blend it out, just fine. I'm not a fan of putting my finger in cream any more than I have to, so I'll use our brushes. Now, you can also use almost all of our brushes, pretty much all the face brushes you could use to contour. So here, let's see, which one's my favorite? Well, I've got two, I guess, that are favorites. First favorite is the hack brush, the detail brush here, and we've just changed the names of them, so if I call it the wrong thing, forgive me, but it's the one that will look like this on the website. I like this end of it because it's got a nice sharp edge there. You can get right up under that cheekbone, and you can get a pretty precise contour. And this is great if you've got a smaller face. Like I do, mine's round, but it's not very big. And so if I put a big brush right here, then the contour is going to get too far down, and I want to stay out of this area here. I want to keep that area light. So this brush can get right up in there and do that. So that's great for that. And I'll show you how to use all these in just a second. Another brush you can use is this brush here, the 30-second brush. And so this end of it is really, really good. Now, it can, when you use it and kind of stamp your contour in there, it's going to do a more natural look, a more diffused look than this one will, because it's a little fluffier. But the thing about it is it's also bigger, and so if I go in right with it, I'm liable to get some of the contour down here, until I know what I'm doing. So you can, pinch it a little bit if you need to make it a little bit smaller. So you can certainly use that one. If you have this brush, so this is one of my favorite brushes ever. So if you have this blush and bronzer brush, this blush end of it you can use as well. So again, just pinch it, get a little product in there, tap it in, and then you can kind of let go and blend it with that. So you can use that brush. And then this one here that's made for powder. You can actually use this end right here. See how, let me see if I can get it showing here. It's tapered, and so you can actually get some contour on it and get right up under that cheekbone. I don't typically use this for it, but I just wanted to show you if you have it, you could. So the two that I typically use are these two right here. So I'm gonna go in with this brush right here. Let me show you how to put the product on your brush. So your artist would have helped you pick out a color, and there really is some science to the colors, all right? So we want contour to mimic a shadow, and shadows are not warm. So all of our colors we have some that are cooler and some that are warmer, but they are all gray based. So they will give you that shadow. So that's the reason why you can't just use bronzer. So let me just really quickly, I will show you that even, so I'm going to do just a little bit of Bella bronzer next to a little bit of what I think is probably our warmest contour. All right, so, and this is, let me try to blend that out a little bit because that's a whole lot. So this right here is the Bella bronzer, and this is our warmest contour, in my opinion. It's called Stone. So you can even see that it is less warm than Bella. So Bella, I don't agree. Now, if you do, that's fine. Makeup is individual, and if you like bronzer as your contour, you keep doing it. But I'll just say, for me, this color right here is way too warm to kind of mimic a shadow on my face. So that's the reason why I don't really suggest using your bronzer as your contour. So which contour do you use? Well, so we've got all these colors to choose from, and as I said, your artist can help you pick out a color. So we've got, I'll tell you about them really quickly. So we've got the first three here, which are mainly cool. We've got Aspen, which is super, super light. So for the fairest of the fair, you can tell the two that I use the most here. I've got Ash and I've got Astoria. So those are the two that I go to the most. And then there's a real deep one called Indigo, and there's one that I don't have called Cola that's even deeper than that. I'll come back to this one here in a second. Then we have some neutral or some warm ones. So I've got Stone and Walnut up here. So those would be for people who need a little warmer undertone. So if you've got more yellow or more warmth to your skin, we might go that way. And then down here I've got some neutral ones that are kind of mid-tone neutral, and I've got Henna and Olive. And so your artist, based on your preferences and based on your skin tone and what you like, they can help you pick things out. So the reason that I really want your artist to help you with that is because, let's say you've got a lot of redness in your face, and I typically do. If I don't have my highlight on already, you could see some redness. Well, if I've got redness, I don't want to go in with one of the warm contours because it's just going to enhance that redness. I want to make sure that I pick one of the cooler contours. So that's something that we're trained to kind of help you identify and help you pick out. So anyway, enough of that. So here is how I think I was starting to show you how to use it, and that's what happens to me. Oh, look, a bird, and I get distracted. So anyway, got my brush here. Now, what I don't want you to do is go, and even though it looks like you can see I've hit pan on both of those, and it looks like I've been swiping, I haven't. I've just used it enough. But I don't want you to, let me see, I'll hold this. I don't want you to put your brush in and swipe, okay? One thing you'll notice, the contours are pretty dry, and so you may feel like you have to do that to get enough on the brush, but you don't. What I'm going to recommend you do is take your brush and hold it at a 45-degree angle. Find, whichever color is your color. Let's say I'll go with Astoria. I like to go with a little bit deeper so you can see it on camera. And then I'm going to have you pounce. All right? So just kind of press, all I'm doing is just kind of punching it in there, pressing it in there at that 45-degree angle. Now, let me set that down. You can see I have it, I'm a little lopsided, but I have it basically on the bottom half of the brush. And that's what I want, because I don't want it on all of the brush, because then I would be getting it on top of my cheek. We're only creating that shadow. So I've got it mainly on that bottom half. Now where do you start? You want to start, I'm going to do the cheeks first, because like I said, those were the hardest. So you want to start as far back as you can. Now if you're not sure where your cheekbone is, here's a little trick that you can use. Just take a pencil or another brush or something and roll it right here until you'll be able to feel where that cheekbone is, okay? And you can take your hand and roll it there, and you'll be able to feel kind of where that hollow is. That's what you're looking for. It's typically between the top of your ear and your mouth. There will be an angle there. So that's what you want to find. All right, so, excuse me, got my brush. I'm going to start in the very back, because wherever you tap first is where the most product is going to be deposited, and then we're going to blend from there. And you would be, your shadow would be darker or heavier up here versus down here. So that's why we want to start up close. And I start even in my hairline, okay? So I'm going to take it and tap it. Now, so this is one line I want you to think about. The other line I want you to think about, let me get the smaller one here, is the outer corner of your eye. That's as far in as I want you to go. If you go too far in, you're going to start to drag your face down. And I'm 51, gravity's already doing that enough for me. I don't need any help. So I don't want to go in really any further than that outside corner of my eye. So that's what I want to be able to keep it there. The other thing is, I don't have deep smile lines, but like if I smile, you can see here, you do not want to start to get it into the smile line area, because you're going to look like you got a mustache, and that ain't pretty. So anyway, I'm going to just kind of tap a little bit and get some on. Now it can look like right now it looks scary, but we're going to blend it out. So here I've tapped it here, and then what I do is I just kind of tilt my brush up, because this part's clean. Remember, this top part I haven't put any product on. And I'm going to start pulling up and blending it up just a little bit. All right. Don't blend this way, because I'll have some people say, I put on contour, but then it all just went away. Well, it's because you're blending it away. You want to be able to see a little of the contour, and how much of that you want to be able to see is personal preference. I know the first time I ever did a highlight and contour, did a hack on my face, I did my highlight, and then I actually used Aspen, which is so light. I can't believe I even tried to use that. But I put it on, and I thought, oh, look at this. And then now I look back thinking, girl, where is your contour? So that's one thing. Contour may become addictive. So maybe I should put a warning label across here. But anyway, so I'm blending here, sorry. So I'm going to blend a little bit, and then you just do it as, to how much ever you prefer. So it does look a little stark and a little dark, and that's okay, because we've still got to put our cheek color on and maybe an illuminator as well. All right, so now let's see. Let me just use the same brush so that I'm symmetrical on both sides. So let me come over here. And again, this is a lot of it's that sun damage, which just happens to be in the right spot. So same thing, I just kind of stamp it, tap it a little bit, and then I'm going to blend it up. That I said there's no rules. The one rule is do not blend down, okay? Because our goal is to lift our cheeks, and if we start blending down, we're going to drag that dark color down, and just like we didn't want it too far in, it's going to come too far down on our face. So only blend up. Now, what if you kind of make a mistake, right? What if, let's say that I have my brush there and I got it down too far. Well, the beauty of it, let me get one of our I get my highlight out here. The beauty of it is you can take whatever brush that you used to do your highlight with, just dip it into, I've got an extra one here, so you can just dip it into it and clean that right up. So that's one super nice thing about using our cream foundations is it's not like we have a liquid foundation on that had to set and dry, and then we put a powder contour over it and we kind of messed it up, but to get it off we have to wipe off that liquid foundation and start over. Now here, if you need to clean it up a little bit, you just pull out a brush and grab your highlight, and then my handy dandy Perfector. If you have watched any of my videos, you knew this was sitting at the ready. All right, so that's how you would fix if you made a mistake, if you really kind of came down too far. Okay, so I'm going to blend that in a little bit further here in a second. Now I want to show you at the top of the forehead. So I'm going to do the same thing. Let me get my contour open again. I am going to take and just, see, I'm just pouncing it in, still at that 45-degree angle. Just going to pounce it in. Get some on the brush. I like to hold my hair up. Here's the reason. I want this to blend into my hairline. I don't want to have a white line between where I've contoured and where my hair is, okay? Because that can scream unnatural. So I'm going to kind of create an angle. I'm not going to go straight across my face either because my forehead's already pretty straight across. I'm trying to create an angle to it. So that's why I'm going to start up here. And I'm going to place it at an angle, and then I'm going to blend it into my forehead. Now I know there's a line right there, I'm well aware. We're going to blend that out here in just a second. Okay. What I'm wanting you to see is the angle that I'm creating. Same thing over here. So I'm pouncing, I'm not swiping back and forth. I'm pouncing to get the color on. And then I'm blending up into my hairline. All right, now I want to blend this up a little bit and soften that edge. All right, and you can still take your Perfector if you want to blend it even a little further. And there, whoop, my hair's getting in my way, it's crazy. So now where my forehead was flat all the way across, now I've just slightly created a shadow there to kind of make it a little more angular, and that's where I'm wanting to bring the eye is to the center of my face. So we've done the forehead, we've done the cheekbones. Now let's do the jawline. So same thing, I pounced in to get my stuff loaded on my brush. I'm going to start right back here behind the ear, and the trick here is I want to stay under the jawline, because if I go here up above it, my face is going to start to look dirty. But what I'm wanting to do is create that shadow underneath it, right? So back behind the jawline, and you can see a little, or at least I can see in the camera, I hope you can see a little difference there already, and I just had a little on the brush. I didn't go ham. The other thing that I do with my contour is I bring it down my neck, because my neck is lighter than my face. That's another thing that your artist is going to look for you, which is why it's kind of hard to pick out colors on your own. We look at, is your neck lighter than your face, and how do we tie all those colors in together? It's not like, you know, just going and buying a color of foundation and putting the same color all over. We're really trying to help you create that dimension, and this contouring step is certainly a part of that. All right, so this side, I'm going to start back behind the ear. Probably should have put a little more on that. I'm going to start back behind the ear, and I'm just going to create that shadow. So if you can tell, I have got a lot more definition now. Like you can tell the difference between my jawline and my neck. I can see it looks different instead of just kind of all melding in together. All right. So that's it. Now, here's what I told you would happen. If you start using contour, you're going to be like, I need a little more. Give me a little more contour. So, happens to all of us. All right. Now, I'm going to take this brush here, this detail brush, or not detail brush, this 30-second brush, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to blend with it, because all I'm doing is stamping, kind of like the way I used the other one to put it on, but just by stamping it, not swiping it, look at how that diffused that color. So it's a super natural sort of look. Same thing with over here. Just gonna stamp it and make it a little more natural. And again, I'll always have a little bit stronger because of the melasma that I've got, but I brought it down a little far when I was doing that. There are no mistakes with our creams, so that's why I picked up this brush and just fixed that a little bit. All right, so now my face isn't as flat. I've got, lighter areas through the center. I've got this sculpting, this contour, this scary contour. I've got it around my face and along my jawline, and all it's done is just create some natural curves in my face. Now the other thing, a couple of other things. So let me go first to lip and cheek, because I will hear sometimes from people, well, I don't like blush. I don't wear blush. I never understand that because I'm a blush junkie. I mean, this isn't my favorite palette because of all the beautiful colors. But even if you don't like blush, what I would highly recommend, and it's something that you put on your color match to me, if you like pink or peach or nude, or if you've worn blush or not. So even if you don't wear blush, I'm going to recommend one of the more natural kind of colors, because here's the thing. So we've had highlight on, and now I've put the contour, and so I've got that kind of three-dimensional look, but it's just not quite tied together, because this can still look a little bit harsh to have that dark with that light, where your lip and cheek is what really pulls it all together. So I'm going to use my blush brush, my blush and bronzer brush, and I'm going to go in with, oh gosh, again, so many pretty ones, it's hard to choose, but I have got, let's see, kind of an orangey look on the eyes. So I want to go in, I'm going to go in with this one here, right here, called Frenchie. And it's kind of a lighter, natural, but kind of tends to be a little warmer, not quite apricot, not quite peach. I don't really know how best to explain it. But I'm going to put it, so I've got the contour, I'm going to put it right here, right on top of it, so that it just looks like it blends right into it. Now with our lip and cheeks, they can go on just a little bit strong. Give them a couple of minutes and they will calm down just a little bit. But you see how now it's not like I've got a dark streak on my face and then a blush and then another color. It's just, it all kind of melds together. And then if you want the best of all the worlds, which I suggest having the best of all the worlds because it's a cool thing, you can use one of our illuminators. So illuminator you can use here on the top of the cheek to even just add a little bit more glow. And this is one time when I will typically use my finger. So I've got pearl, rose gold, angel, honey. So I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use rose gold and pearl. I'll start with rose gold. Now these are not in your face highlighters, so these are not you're going to be able to see them from space. If you want, a sparklier highlighter, we want to get you one of our powder ones. I don't typically use that because being over 50, I don't want to accentuate anything that any pores or texture that I don't need to. So all I did, and I'm wanting to put a little bit more on there so you can see it. You can definitely see it in person. Sometimes the camera just doesn't pick it up. So I've got, let's see if I can turn my face. I've got just a little glow. There you go. That's a little bit. You can see it now. Just a little glow as you, as I move my face in the light. All right. What else? A couple of other things. If you want to get all fancy, you can, like I said, you can contour your nose, and you can also contour your lips. So the color that I said we'd come back to later, this one here, this is called Shadow. It is only used for nose contour. It is too gray to use anywhere else. You will look like, you know, you're from The Walking Dead or something like that. It's just too gray to wear on your face. So a lot of people will buy that because we've been taught, you know, to use a gray sort of contour. But please, if you get Shadow, know that it's really, really best for your nose. Now, let me do a quick nose contour. Let's see. What shall I use for that? I can use, I'll just use this detail brush here with this tiny end of it. So just a little bit on the brush. Just a little bit on the end there. And I want to, it's hard to do and talk, just create this kind of straight, and you can see, good, you can see in the camera. I'm going to create this straight line here. We're going to blend it out, I promise. Okay. And I kind of curve mine in to give my nose a little lift there on the end. Now, I don't contour my nose every day. As a matter of fact, I rarely do it. I'm just wanting to do this to show you kind of what it would do. It's kind of like nose job in a tin, right? Okay. And you're kind of wanting it to follow those lines right there. I think I may need to have even come in just a little bit further. Okay. Sorry, getting a little perfectionist here on us. Okay. All right. So I've got that. And I'm going to take my Perfector sponge. Just kind of blend that out a little bit. You can use your fingers to blend that out a little bit. My nose does look a little slimmer, but I still think, this is why I don't do it all the time, I still think I should have come in further, so I'm going to put a little bit more. Whoops, felt like my brush went a little crooked there on me. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to try this to blend it with this time. All right, so I've got that almost blended. I don't want to blend it completely out, but I want to make sure that when I turn, then I'm not seeing color. All right, because if you can see two stripes down your face, then, or down your nose, then you have not blended it well enough. Then what I'm going to do, what am I looking for? My highlight color, you know, the same one that I used underneath my eyes. I'm going to use it just right down the nose. And then just blend that out a little bit so that it looks like my nose was a little bit smaller than it was. So that's how you can contour your nose if you want to. And then lastly, you can use it as lip liner. Kind of lip liner, kind of a little bit below your lip line to give you that contour. So I'm going to use, I'm actually, and on this one you can use whatever you used on your face. So I'm going to use a little bit of that Astoria. And I'm using it with the wider end because it'll be a little faster. Okay, so can you see how this half of my lip has just a tiny bit more shadow than this half? That just gives me a little more dimension to my face. All right, so those match. Now with the bottom lip, I go just a little bit under my actual lip line because, I mean, that's how, like if the sun were hitting me, that's how a shadow would fall. With my top lip, I don't do that because the shadow doesn't fall upwards. So with my top lip, Do I have it right here? I will just go right at the edge of my lip line. So I hope that makes sense. I do that just to kind of blend it out a little bit. And then I just wipe that brush off, and I will use that same brush in whatever lip color I'm going to use. So I used Frenchie there. So let's use a little Tropicana on the lips. I didn't mean for this to turn out to be almost a full tutorial. That's how it goes sometimes. All right, so there you go. That is highlighting and contouring. I mean, it's really that simple, or really contouring is what we mainly focused on today. Now the difference being, so you can tell, you know, I don't have any, maybe I'll blend a little bit more there. You know, I don't have any harsh lines. I don't look, you know, scary, that sort of thing. If I wanted to add a little more color, let's say if, you know, if you're a bronzer girl, then you can take the fluffy end of your blush and bronzer brush and grab that bronzer color, that Bella, and I mean, like, it is so fluffy, I'm just barely getting any on there because you don't need a whole lot. Okay, so you can add just a little bit of bronzer where the sun might naturally hit you, and there you go. You know, don't necessarily use your contour for bronzer because it won't really work. The other thing when picking out a color, I think I forgot to say this, is, you know, if you are, you know, a bronzer lover or bronzer wearer, that's definitely something I want to know in your color match, because if I'm going to suggest Bella bronzer for you, I'm definitely not going to suggest a warm contour because that would be too much warmth for most of the faces that I've seen so far. But again, you know, I'll customize it to you. So if you have any other questions that I didn't answer, you know, leave them below. Again, I will link my color match if you have never tried our foundation and you would like to, you know, see, hey, what colors should I choose? And if you need an artist, I'm definitely happy to help you with that. So that's all I have for you today. And until the next video, I will see you later.